Hi guys, welcome back to Excel at Mathematics. This video will explain how to use the Vlookup function in Excel. This will be my first Excel video, so please bear with me and I hope you learn a lot about the Vlookup function from this video. If you want help with an assignment or homework that is related to mathematics or statistics, I offer my assistance for a fee. You can email me at excel.mathematic@gmail.com. This information is also available on my channel. The fee charged will depend on how much time I will need to complete the assignment or homework. For every 100 subscribers, I will choose one subscriber for which I'll do their homework or project for free. This subscriber will also receive a shout-out on the channel, depending on if they want it. Please remember to subscribe. So first, we'll only look at the syntax of the Vlookup function. So first off, the lookup value. This is the lookup value that you are trying to find in the leftmost column of a table. This is a very important statement. If the lookup value is not in the leftmost column of the table that you're doing the lookup in, it will always return an error. It could be a value, a cell reference, or a text string. The next parameter that you have to specify is the table array. This is the table in which you'll be looking for the value. This could be a reference to a range of cells or a named range. Column index number is the next parameter. This is the column index number from which you want to fetch the matching value. So if you are looking up a value and you want to see what the value should be in the third column, you would enter a 3 here. Next is the range lookup. Here you specify whether you want an exact match or an approximate match. If omitted, it defaults to true, which is an approximate match. It's best to use an exact match, which can be selected by typing in either false or 0. Now let's dive into an example. This is just a short example that I put together. This table just represents phone brands, the color of the phone, and then a column just combining the two columns just to have a unique identifier. And then the columns E, F, and G provide the number of phone sales for each month. So first, if you want to get the number of iPhones sold in January, the Vlookup function will look something like this. So first you type in the Vlookup, then you have to look up the value. So we're looking for iPhone. So then you select it. Next, you have to select a table array. Then it's usually best practice to start on the leftmost column, then select all the columns that you want to consider the lookup for. Next, you need a column index. So since we're looking for the number of iPhones sold in Jan, we want the value that's in Jan for iPhone. So it would be the fourth column. Next, we need the range lookup. As stated previously, false is usually the best way to go. So as you can see here, the value it returns is 34, which is exactly what is provided there. Next, we want the number of Samsungs sold in Feb. We will follow the exact same principles, but only in this example, I'll show you that you can also type in the word that you want, the thing that you want to look up. If it's a text, then you have to type in with the apostrophes, otherwise you can just type in the number. Then we again select the table. Next up, column again, so since it's in Feb, it will be the fifth column. And then for false, you can also type in a 0 instead of typing in false, which saves a few seconds. And that's also the value that we get. So one important thing to note about the Vlookup function is that the value that you look up in the table, it will also always return the first instance of that lookup. So as you can see here, I was searching for iPhone sold in Jan. So as you can see, there's more than one iPhone entry. But since this is the first entry, it will then use this one to look up. Okay, so next, now we want the number of Huawei's sold in March. So instead of looking for a specific column and getting the number of the column, you also have the matching option, which is quite simple and makes it much easier. So we select Huawei. Again, you have to select the table array, and then in the column index number, type in the match function. Then, since we want it for March, we look up the value there for March, and then you select all the column headings that you want to that you have in your table array. Then type in 0 for an exact match. Now again, range lookup, just a 0 for the false, and as you can see there, it returns the correct value. So this match function. If you haven't used it before, it's quite simple to use. I'll probably make a video about that going forward, but this is just an easier way. Instead of typing in the column number, and you don't have to go check which column number is it in, you just check the column heading, which you provide there, then just all the column headings, because then this function will return the position of the value that you look up in that array. So for example, in this one, it would be the 6th column. So instead of typing in 6 here, and then this is just a more dynamic way to do it. Okay, so now the number of Sonys sold in Jan. So here I would just repeat the previous step using the match function, and then let's just look for it. Okay, so first select the lookup value, again get the table array, then for the column index we'll use the match function again, but then the same as the previous times, you can also type in the word instead of selecting it in the table. This just helps if the table is quite large and you don't have to scroll to find the value. You can just type in the word. So then again, select the column headings, an exact match, another exact match to finish off the lookup. There again. See, for Sony sold in Jan, it's 4, which is correct. So this is just a repeat of the previous one, just using the word instead of selecting the column. Okay, here, this will just be another simple VLOOKUP, and now we want to look up for the black phone sold in Jan. So just to illustrate that you have to select the most left value, I'm going to select the entire table from even before the color, then, oh sorry, this is an issue. Let's just redo this. So then the lookup value, so we want to look up black phones sold in Jan. So then select black, and then table array. So if we select it from before black appears, and we're looking for Jan, so that would be in column 4, and then 0. So as you can see here, it gives you an error. And this is because the value that you're looking up is not the leftmost column. So to solve this, just make sure your array starts where your value is that you're looking up. So as you can see here, black phone, Jan. But now, since I moved the column array, the column that you want to select now for Jan moves 1 back. So now it would be column 3, which is there. So as stated previously, it's also going to look up the first black item in this column and then return the appropriate lookup value. And now for the number of blue phones sold. So here, just another simple VLOOKUP, and then we can again just use the word instead of selecting it. Select the table array, column index. Since we're looking for Jan, it would again be column 3, and then let's just use false just to vary it a bit. Again, let's check. So blue phones, the first blue entry is here. For Jan, it's 2. So that is again correct. So now, if you want to avoid the problem of returning the first value for example, iPhone, you can create an extra column that combines a few columns just to make it more unique. So for example, here I'm just combining the color and then the phone brand. This just provides a unique identifier so that you can look up specific things. So again, now we want to look up the white iPhone. Just select the white iPhone there, then table array, and we're looking for it in Jan, so that is again the second column, and there you go. So you can see there, it looks up for white iPhones, and if we selected white, if we wanted to look up white or just iPhone, this value wouldn't have been returned because it would have either used this one if we looked for iPhone, and if we used white, it would have returned this one. So this unique identifier is just a simple way to get unique values. Okay, so next, this function is if you want to look up a value, but you want to sum 2 of the columns. So for example, if we want to get the number of Nokia sold in Jan and Feb, this function will look as follows. So we'll again look up Nokia, table array, column index. So here use the squiggly brackets, and since it's for Jan and Feb, it would be column 3 and column 4. Okay, sorry, I forgot the 0. So as you can see there, this is just returning blue Nokia, but to get the sum, you would just add sum product in front, and then brackets at the end, and there you go. Okay, so I must have typed in this formula incorrectly because it's not providing the correct value here. Oh, so yeah, I've just picked up, it should be column 4 and column 5. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, so there you can see. So the array that you provide here, so we're saying we want to sum the values in column 4 and column 5. So column 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for Nokia, column 4 and 5 is this. So that you can see there, sum provided is 5. So this is correct. So now here, you can just do the exact same thing, but let's just start by typing in the correct there. We want a VLOOKUP there. So again, now we want number of white Samsungs. So then select white Samsungs. Now table array, just remember to select the leftmost column where the lookup value is in. Now column index. So since we want Jan, Feb, and March, we want 3 columns here. So you can see it's column 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Again, 0 at the end. Okay, so 49. So let's just check if that's correct for white Samsung. As you can see there, sum is 49. So again, function works correctly. This is quite a neat function to have if you want to sum a lookup across multiple columns. This helps you to not type out 3 different VLOOKUP functions just to get the sum of the 3 values. So this is quite a useful tip. Okay, so let's just test this one. So number of LGs, table array, and we want it for Feb, so that would be column 5, and then just the 0 at the end. So as you can see here, it returns not applicable. This happens because the value of LG doesn't appear in the lookup column that you selected. So the reason for this is if the value isn't picked up, it returns it not applicable. But if you would rather have a neater way to present this, just type IFERROR and then the VLOOKUP function in there, comma, and then value IFERROR. So here you can either put a 0, so you'll see now the value returned is 0. So what this function helps you with is that if this lookup doesn't pick up anything in the table, it would rather return a 0 instead of a not applicable. Since if you want to sum the different functions that you type in like this, the not applicables will ruin your summing. So instead of a 0, you can also use text. You can just say not found, then it returns not found. That's also quite a nice function to have if you want to pick up if an item is not found in your table. Okay, so the last VLOOKUP option that I'm going to show you now is quite a very useful tip. So in this column, we would like to create a drop-down list of the different column types that you want to look up in. So go to data, data validation again, then you want to create a list, and then your source will be the columns that you want as the options. Then you say OK. So as you can see here now you can choose any of the columns that you want. So let's just go for Jan. Okay, so now we want to create another drop-down list here, which would be the color plus phone. So again, data validation, allow list, and then your source will just be all the different colors and phones that you want to be able to choose from. Okay, okay. Again, now it created here. So create Samsung. Okay. So now you just type in the VLOOKUP function here. The lookup function would be this drop-down list here, table array, remember most left column, then column index number. You'd have to use the match function, and this is due to you using the word here, not a number. So lookup values, value there, lookup array start from the most left, match type 0, and then you have to finish with another 0. So Grey Samsung for Jan is 18. Okay, so now we can just change this to March for Grey Samsung, and it gives 24. So we can also go back and compare this to just the normal function here. So number, okay, no, that will just give the first value. So let's just go to this one. Number of white iPhones sold in Jan. Go here, select white iPhone, and you want it for Jan, and there you go. Then this value is this. So this just helps you to be able to produce the result much quicker than having to retype the formula or edit the formula. Okay, and that's about it for VLOOKUP. If you have any further queries on VLOOKUPs, please feel free to email me or just comment in the video. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you learned something.